The next section that we look at does have a little bit to do with what we just did. But we're going to get into that in a little bit. Exploring probability. So the first part that we look at here is looking at the difference between probability and odds. So again, this is stuff that we put onto our cheat sheet. That way you shouldn't get it mixed up. But basically, how this works is this. So the probability of something happening. They write it as the number of favorable outcomes over the total number of outcomes. Okay? So basically speaking, what is the probability of rolling a 1 on a die?
1 out of 6.
1 out of 6. So the favorable outcome is the 1, and 6 is the total number of outcomes. Okay, and that's probability. We work with probability all the time. You work with probability, the chances of rank. Generally, we put them in as fractions. They can be as a percentage. They can be sometimes written with a colon, but we're not going to, because we're going to work with odds now, which is something that's completely different. All right. So probability. Experimental probability of event A is probability of A. So the number of times A happens out of the number of times that you are actually doing the trial itself. The theoretical probability of A, the probability of A is the number of favorable outcomes over the number of outcomes that were possible. Now, they're total outcomes. So in theory, we have a 1 out of 6 chance of rolling a 1 on a die, right? But if I rolled it 10 times, it may not come out as a 1 out of 6 chance. Or if I roll it 12 times, let's say, that means that I would have to hit 1 twice, right? In the theoretical probability of it. But that may not be. The experimental probability may not work out to what the theoretical probability is. Okay? Well, let me do the example question, then I'll talk about odds. Actually, the one thing that we talk about is whether or not something is a fair contest. So here's how it works. Eli and Eloise put 7 rubber bracelets in a bag. 4 are blue, 1 is pink, 1 is yellow, and 1 is striped. Eli takes a bracelet without looking. If he takes a blue bracelet, then he wins. Otherwise, Eloise wins. Okay, so what's the probability that Eli wins this? 4 out of 7. So the probability that Eli wins it is 4 out of 7. Pardon me? Because there's 4 blue bracelets. Okay? The probability that Eloise wins then is 3 out of 7. Is that a fair game? No. Right? It's not fair because it's not a 50-50 chance of the person winning. All right. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay. Now, I'm going to use Eli again. The probability that Eli wins is 4 out of 7. Okay. Now, when we talk about the weather, we talk about the probability of the chance of precipitation, right? So we talk about probability all the time. When you talk, I mean, there are other examples, but the best example that I can share with you is when you talk about sports gambling, all right? They'll say that if it's like a boxing match, they'll say a guy has a 3-2 odds of winning, all right? They don't say he has a 3 out of 5 chance of winning. He has a 3-2 odds of winning. The chances that the Winnipeg Jets are going to win the Stanley Cup, 24-1. That's the odds. Okay? So, what is the difference between probability and odds? All right? Probability is your favorable outcomes over your total outcomes. The odds of it happening is favorable outcomes. I usually use a colon to non-favorable. Or we could actually put loss instead. Let's do it that way. So basically it's your win compared to your loss. So it's a ratio, that's right. So the ratio in this case is 4-3. When you add these together, it will give you the total of that happening. So the probability is 4 out of 7. The odds of it happening are 4-3. And 7, when you add them together, is your actual total number of outcomes. Okay, and that's what odds is.
So will that work for sports too?
So okay, let me explain it. Yeah, I want to explain that. So what that means is that if two guys were to fight 7 times, one guy would win 4 times, one guy would win 3 times. That's what they're saying. Okay? Or if 2 hockey teams are playing against each other in a best of 7. All right? Be a 4-3 chance that if they played this over and over again, there's a 4-3 chance that that team is going to win. Okay? Now they use this odds as your line for betting as well. All right, I don't need to get into it too deeply, but that's exactly how the odds work for betting. So that means that you would be covered under, you would get paid out whatever the odds are of it happening. So you'd be paid, so if I put $100 down on this, I'd be paid 1.13 of the $100.
That's why, like, say if you bet, they call it 50-1, so you bet $50, you get times 50.
That's right. That's right. So like I said before, the Jets odds this year might be 24-1. That means if I put $100 down, I win 24 times if the Jets win the Stanley Cup. Okay? And you lose 1 time, you lose your $100.
Oh.
Right? Okay? So, probability. Favorable outcomes over total outcomes. Odds. Your favorable or your win to your loss. Number of each. Okay? Page 122. 2 brown-eyed parents are told that there is a 25% probability that their baby will have blue eyes. What are the odds in favor of such parents having a baby with blue eyes? What are the odds against it? Okay, so probability. I like to start with the probability. So probability of blue eyes. Quarter. 1 out of 4, right? Okay? What are the odds of it happening then?
1 to 3.
That's right. Very good. Odds of it happening are 1 to 3. What are the odds of it not happening? 3 to 1. Just flip it. Again, they use that little kind of apostrophe. Thanks. Apostrophe. That's to signify that it's the odds of it not happening, or the odds of it, or the opposite of it actually happening. Okay. There you have it. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay. Any questions about the odds and probability so far? Yeah, there's enough questions there that'll take you to the end of the day today if you do 5-1 and 5-2. You can also start in on page 118. 5-1 short, but do 118. And then get to the end of 5.2. Okay? That's all.
Didn't take up all much time there. Yeah. This looks easy. It'll get harder, don't worry. Always makes you want to. Oh, there's a lot there. Yeah. What about cyber? It doesn't work. Just didn't work? Yep.
Go ahead. I want to see a graph.
You would go sharpen it up.
Okay,